The DC Extended Universe is an American media franchise and shared universe centered on a series of superhero films and television series produced by DC Studios and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. It is based on characters that appear in American comic books published by DC Comics. The DCEU also includes comic books, short films, novels, and video games. Like the original DC universe in comic books, the DCEU was established by crossing over common plot elements, settings, cast, and characters. Warner Bros. Had plans to bring various DC Comics superheroes together in films since 2002, when Wolfgang Petersen was set to direct a crossover of the Superman and Batman film franchises. After a planned Justice League film was put on hold in 2008 and initial universe plans were scrapped due to the critical and commercial disappointment of the 2011 film Green Lantern, Warner Bros. Established this shared universe in 2013. The DCEU began with the film Man of Steel, a reboot of the Superman film series, followed by Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, which served as a reboot of the Batman film series. These films were followed by Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, The Suicide Squad, and Black Adam. Future films include Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in 2023, with other films in various stages of development. The DCEU was expanded to include television series for the streaming service HBO Max in 2022, beginning with Peacemaker. The DCEU is the 9th highest grossing film franchise of all time, having grossed over $6.1 billion at the global box office. Its highest grossing film, Aquaman, earned over $1.15 billion worldwide and became the highest-grossing DC Comics-based film to date. Films of the franchise have generally received mixed reviews from critics. Etymology. Upon announcement of the film series, the universe was commonly called the DC Cinematic Universe by fans and the media, in keeping with the naming convention of the already established Marvel Cinematic Universe. Keith Statkevich, writing for Entertainment Weekly, jokingly coined the term DC Extended Universe trademark in an article about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice on July 1, 2015. This term and the abbreviation DCEU quickly spread among the press and fans, thinking of it as the official name of the franchise over the following years. According to Vulture writer Abraham Reisman, DC confirmed to him in September 2017 that the term was not used internally and they did not consider it official. In 2016, as part of DC Films Presents, Dawn of the Justice League, both Jeff Johns and Kevin Smith referred to the franchise's name as being the Justice League Universe. During the DC Films panel at San Diego Comic-Con 2018, a video banner displayed the words "Welcome to the Worlds of DC," after showcasing some upcoming films. As a result, some media outlets interpreted this as DC officially naming their shared film universe as the Worlds of DC. However, in March 2020, Jim Lee referred to the franchise as the DC Extended Universe at C2E2. The franchise was officially titled DC Extended Universe when the Warner Media streaming service HBO Max launched the following May. Following the appointment of Peter Safran and James Gunn as heads of DC Studios, Warner Bros. Discovery referred to DC's film and television series as part of the DC Universe, which some media outlets interpreted as a rebranding of the DCEU. Development. In 2002, Wolfgang Petersen was set to direct a Batman vs Superman film from a script by Akiva Goldsman. Warner Bros. Cancelled development to focus on individual Superman and Batman projects after J.J. Abrams submitted another draft for Superman, Flyby. In February 2007, Warner Bros. Hired husband and wife duo Michelle and Kieran Mulroney to write a script for a Justice League film. Christian Bale, who starred as Batman in Batman Begins, was not approached to reprise the role, nor was Brandon Routh, who starred as Superman in Superman Returns. George Miller was hired to direct the film, reportedly titled Justice League Mortal, with Armie Hammer cast as Batman, DJ Cotrona as Superman, Adam Brody as Flash, Santiago Cabrera as Aquaman, Common as Green Lantern, Megan Gale as Wonder Woman, Hugh Keays-Byrne as Martian Manhunter and Jay Baruchel as Maxwell Lord. The project was put on indefinite hold in January 2008, after failing to secure tax breaks for filming in Australia, as well as the 2007-2008 Writers Guild of America strike preventing progress on the script. In 2013, a reboot of the Superman franchise, Man of Steel, was set to lay the groundwork for future DC films. The film contained references to other characters in the DC universe, so if it were a success, it could launch a shared universe. At San Diego Comic-Con in July, 1 month after Man of Steel's release, Warner Bros. Announced that Superman and Batman would meet for the first time in a cinematic format in a sequel to Man of Steel, establishing the shared universe. A slate of 10 DC films was announced in 2014, with initial plans of those universe-driven films spanning through 2020. Warner Bros. President of Creative Development Greg Silverman explained DC's approach to their cinematic universe in 2015, "We take these beloved characters and put them in the hands of master filmmakers and make sure they all coordinate with each other." In May 2016, following criticism of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Warner Bros. Established a DC Films division with DC's Chief Creative Officer Jeff Johns and Warner Bros. Executive Vice President John Berg as its heads to oversee production and form a cohesive creative direction for the franchise. DC Films would not be fully autonomous, as Johns reported to DC President Diane Nelson and Berg reported to Silverman. Charles Roven was also moved from his day-by-day producer role on future DC films, which he had served since 2005's Batman Begins, to an administrative executive producer role. In December, Silverman was ousted from his role in Warner Bros., and Toby Emmerich was promoted to President and Chief Content Officer in his place. By January 2017, Johns and Berg reported to Emmerich. Following the financial and critical success of Wonder Woman in June, Johns stated that moving forward the films would focus on the heart, humor, hope, heroics, and optimism of the characters. As a result of Justice League's underperformance at the box office, Berg left his position by January 2018 and became a production partner with Roy Lee. DC also sought to de-emphasize the shared nature of their films, with Diane Nelson stating, "Our intention, certainly, moving forward is using the continuity to help make sure nothing is diverging in a way that doesn't make sense, but there's no insistence upon an overall storyline or interconnectivity in that universe. Moving forward, you'll see the DC movie universe being a universe, but one that comes from the heart of the filmmaker who's creating them." In January 2018, Walter Hamada was appointed the president of DC Films and co-runner of the DCEU, replacing Berg. The following month, Chantal Nong was named vice president of DC Films. The pair were hired to oversee the franchise with Johns as the key production team managers. However, Johns stepped down from his executive roles at DC that June, and created a production company, Mad Ghost Productions, to have a greater hands-on role in various DC media as a writer and producer. After the financial success of Aquaman, Warner Bros. CEO Kevin Tsujihara said the upcoming slate of DC films would be focused on individual character stories instead of interconnectivity. In 2021, Warner Media reversed course and announced that future films would again be interconnected. In May 2020, Warner Media launched the streaming service HBO Max. In September, HBO Max ordered Peacemaker, the DCEU's first television series and a spin-off of the film The Suicide Squad. After this announcement, Walter Hamada stated that DC Films was interested in producing spin-off series for every film in the DCEU slate for HBO Max. In February 2021, HBO Max and executive producer J.J. Abrams began developing multiple series based on the individual team members of the Justice League Dark, with a plan to eventually culminate these projects in a crossover and team-up miniseries. In April 2022, following the merger of Discovery Incorporated with Warner Media, Warner Bros. Discovery announced to overhaul the functions of DC Entertainment and DC Films Productions. President and CEO of the newly merged company, David Zaslav, and its executives believe that DC lacks coherent creative and brand strategy and is looking to hire a czar of creativity and strategy, comparable to Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige. Discovery intends to revitalize certain top-tier DC characters that they believe had been neglected in previous years, such as Superman. Walter Hamada is believed to be included in Zaslav's business plan, pending a renegotiation deal at the end of his contractual obligations to DC Films in 2023. The following month, the future of DC Films was revealed to prioritize theatrical films over streaming releases, as a part of plans overseen by Zaslav. In June, executive restructuring of the studios began with Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi being named as the co-chairman of Warner Bros. Motion Picture Group, taking over from Toby Emmerich, who will step down from his position. The pair were also announced to temporarily oversee DC Films and Warner Animation Group output until he does so, with Hamada reporting directly to them. In August, at the second quarter earnings call presentation, Zaslav confirmed the studio's overall 10-year plan to focus on theatrical films. The CEO stated, "We're not going to launch a movie until it's ready. We're not going to launch a movie to make a quarter, and we're not going to put a movie out unless we believe in it." He additionally confirmed plans for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman to be the primary focus of the franchise. In October, Dwayne Johnson stated that he will serve in an advisory role for the franchise, including helping Warner Bros. Find the new leadership they need for DC Films to thrive, while expressing confidence in the future under the direction of Zaslav, DeLuca, and Abdi. Johnson said that Black Adam is the first step in the new slate of films that will continue to expand the DCEU. In November, DC Films became DC Studios, with James Gunn and Peter Safran announced as its co-CEOs/CO chairman, with the two overseeing all future DC projects including film, television, and animation. Gunn and Safran jointly stated, "Our commitment to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn, and the rest of the DC stable of characters is only equaled by our commitment to the wonder of human possibility these characters represent. We're excited to tell some of the biggest, most beautiful, and grandest stories ever told." In November 2022, at the first meeting between Warner Bros. Discovery and DC Studios, Gunn and Safran detailed the structure of the franchise moving forward, stating that it will entail film, television, animation, gaming, and other mediums. While working on the studio's 10-year plan, Gunn acknowledged Johnson's previous statements that all creatives involved are determined to listen to the fans, after which the CEO asked fans via his social media page which DC characters they would like to see a part of the franchise in the future. Films released: I Man of Steel/I. None. I Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice/I. None. I Suicide Squad/I. None. I Wonder Woman/I. None. I Justice League/I. None. I Zack Snyder's Justice League/I. None. I Aquaman/I. None. I Shazam/I. None. I Birds of Prey/I. None. I Wonder Woman 1984/I. None. I The Suicide Squad/I. None. I Black Adam/I. None. Upcoming films. I Shazam. Fury of the Gods/I. None. I The Flash/I. None. I Blue Beetle/I. None. I Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom/I. None. Future. In August 2022, CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery David Zaslav stated that the company has a 10-year plan of upcoming films, similar in approach to that of Marvel Studios with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The primary focus of the franchise going forward would be centered around Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. In October 2022, after being named the co-CEOs/CO chairman of DC Studios, James Gunn and Peter Safran reaffirmed the primary focus of the future as being the characters that Zaslav identified, as well as Harley Quinn, while also referencing the rest of the DC stable of characters. The pair jointly stated that they are excited to tell some of the biggest, most beautiful, and grandest stories ever told. Later the same month, sequels to Man of Steel and The Flash were announced. In November 2022, while continuing to work on the studio's 10-year plan, Gunn echoed Johnson's statements regarding their determination to listen to the fans. When the CEO asked fans via his social media page which DC characters they would like to see as a part of future installments, he stated that there are further plans to incorporate Batmite into the franchise. Warner Bros. Pictures and DC Studios additionally have a variety of DC films in various stages of development. Untitled I Wonder Woman 1984/I sequel. None. Untitled I Man of Steel/I sequel. None. Untitled I Black Adam/I sequel. None. Untitled I The Flash/I sequel. None. Other potential films. Television series. I Peacemaker/I. None. Other series in development. Untitled Amanda Waller series. By May 2022, a series centering around Amanda Waller entered in development, with Viola Davis reprising the role and serving as executive producer. Crystal Henry will write the series and executive produce alongside James Gunn and Peter Safran. The series is intended to follow the character after the events of Peacemaker. Untitled John Constantine series. In February 2021, a series focusing on John Constantine entered development at HBO Max. The series, featuring a young Constantine in contemporary London, was planned to be horror-oriented and would tie in with Justice League Dark. Guy Bolton was hired to write the pilot, while J.J. Abrams would serve as executive producer. The creatives involved are determined to have a diverse cast pool, while looking to the non-white actors for the lead role. By August 2022, the series was still in development, while also tentatively scheduled to begin production in early 2023. In September, after 4 episodes of the series were written, the series was no longer moving forward at HBO Max in favor of developing of a sequel to the film Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves. Despite its cancellation, Variety noted that it was likely to be revived later on. In October, the series was confirmed to still be in development and being shopped around to other streaming services. Justice League Dark. In January 2013, Guillermo del Toro began developing a film centered on the Justice League Dark and submitted a script in November the next year, but was no longer attached by June 2015. In August 2016, Doug Liman joined to direct with the title Dark Universe, alongside Scott Rudin producing and Michael Gillio rewriting the script. Liman left the following May due to scheduling conflicts. In mid-2017, it was retitled Justice League Dark with Gerard Johnstone polishing the script. By April 2020, the project was being redeveloped as a series for HBO Max, with J.J. Abrams serving as an executive producer. Justice League Dark is intended to premiere after the individual team members are introduced in their own series, with the studios involved inspired to a similar approach as Marvel Television's Netflix series individually premiering before crossing over in The Defenders. Madam X, in June 2021, a series focusing on Madame Xanadu entered development at HBO Max. Angela Robinson was planned to write and executive produce the series along with J.J. Abrams. The series was planned to tie in with Justice League Dark. The series was still in development in August 2022, but was cancelled the next month. It was noted by Variety that the series would likely be picked up by another network. By September of the same year, the project was being shopped around to other streaming services. Untitled spin-off series to The Suicide Squad. In January 2021, James Gunn said he had ideas for additional spin-offs of The Suicide Squad, and more DC projects from Gunn were planned by that August. In January 2022, Gunn confirmed he was developing a second spin-off series to The Suicide Squad for HBO Max, which will not be as comedic as Peacemaker. Later in June, Gunn said that he will write and direct the unnamed series, and confirmed that characters from Peacemaker will feature into the plot. Contrary to initial reports, the filmmaker stated that the show is separate from the Amanda Waller project. In the same interview, Gunn announced that he is concurrently working on multiple television shows, and other DC-related projects. Gunn further continued to talk about developments of the future of his DC projects, stating that the studios involved have big plans. Untitled Valzad series. By July 2021, a limited series centered around Valzad was in development for HBO Max. Michael B. Jordan is set to produce the series and also potentially star, while Darnell Metier and Josh Peters will serve as writers. Jordan had previously pitched a feature film centered around an African-American Superman, only to place development on hold due to his busy production schedule. Cancelled and reworked projects. Over the years, many projects that were at one point supposed to be part of the DCEU have either been moved into a different continuity, outright cancelled, or unreleased. Batgirl. In March 2017, Joss Whedon was hired to write, direct and produce a film centered around Barbara Gordon/Batgirl. Whedon was to begin production on the film in 2018, but stepped down in February. In April, after impressing Warner Bros. With her work on Birds of Prey, Christina Hodson was hired as screenwriter for Batgirl. By November 2019, Hodson was expected to write the script once she had completed work on The Flash. In May 2021, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah were announced as the film's co-directors, with Kristen Burr serving as producer. In July, Leslie Grace was cast in the titular role. She was chosen from a short list of actresses that included Isabella Merced, Zoe Deutsch, and Haley Lu Richardson. In October, Jacob Scipio joined the cast in an undisclosed role, and Brendan Fraser was cast as Firefly. Ivory Aquino was cast as Alicia Yeo, the first major transgender character in a DC film. Principal photography began in Glasgow in November 2021, and wrapped by the end of March 2022. Batgirl was scheduled to be released sometime in 2022 on HBO Max, though it was reportedly being reconsidered for theatrical release by Warner Bros. Discovery by April. That August, Warner Bros. Discovery cancelled the plans to release the film on HBO Max or theatrically following poor test screenings. The film was deemed not big enough for the big screen yet too expensive to be released on HBO Max. Despite the project's cancellation, the studio still hoped to work with Arbi, Fallah, and Grace on other DC projects. Ben Affleck's The Batman. In July 2015, Ben Affleck was in negotiations to direct, produce, star in, and co-write a Batman film. Affleck was confirmed as the film's director at the San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Affleck later stated in 2017 that he was unsure if he would direct the film, and stepped down as director later in January. In February, Matt Reeves was hired to direct and co-produce the film. Under Reeves, the film shifted focus towards a younger, more inexperienced iteration of the character while drawing more from the comics' roots in noir and detective fiction, and Affleck eventually left the project altogether, being replaced by Robert Pattinson as Batman and allowing the film to drop its connections to the DCEU, establishing it in a new standalone shared universe. In December 2020, Joe Manganiello, who was set to reprise his role as Deathstroke before Reeves took over, explained that the plot was tied to Justice League and featured Deathstroke attempting to ruin Batman's life as revenge for the death of his son. Batgirl and the Riddler would have also appeared in the film. Shortly following the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, which restored the intended post-credits scene featuring Lex Luthor revealing Batman's secret identity as Bruce Wayne to Deathstroke to set up the plot of Affleck's iteration of the Batman, a campaign began on social media seeking for the revival of the project. Cyborg. In April 2014, Ray Fisher was cast as Victor Stone/Cyborg, and Warner Bros. Announced a film centered around the character was in development the following October. Joe Morton was set to reprise his role as Dr. Silas Stone. Fisher stated the film would focus specifically on Cyborg, and that the cast and production team would be diverse. Morton commented that there were discussions to include scenes in Cyborg, that were cut during post-production on the theatrical release of Justice League that involved Cyborg. Fisher expressed his desire for Zack Snyder to direct the film, and pitched plot elements including the Phantom Limbs as the primary antagonists of the film. Cyborg was scheduled to be released on April 3, 2020, but was later delayed. In April 2020, Fisher confirmed that development on the project continued, though by 2021, amidst a dispute between the actor and Warner Bros. Pictures regarding an investigation in the reshoot process on Justice League, he stated that he would not play the role in any film that has Hamada's involvement. DC Films responded by stating that they will not recast the role. Fisher later commented that he would only reprise the role if Zack Snyder's cancelled Justice League sequel was to be revived. In March, Fisher said that he is not opposed to reprising the role in future DCEU films, with the actor preferring Cyborg be directed by Snyder or Rick Famuyiwa. In February 2022, when discussing the Justice League's appearance in the finale episode of Peacemaker, James Gunn stated that Cyborg did not appear in the scene due to the studio's planned future with the character. Deathstroke. In October 2017, a film centered around Slade Wilson/Deathstroke was announced to be in development with Gareth Evans attached as screenwriter and director from a story by Joe Manganiello, who was also set to reprise his role from Justice League. The project was greenlit after Evans impressed executives with his pitch. By April 2020, Evans was no longer in negotiations to work on the project, stating that he had never been contractually involved with its development. He described the story as a dark and unforgiving origin story, similar to Korean noir films. In December, after reprising the role in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Manganiello stated he and Snyder were working on projects featuring Deathstroke. In March 2021, after numerous delays, Manganiello confirmed that Deathstroke had been cancelled because Warner Bros. Did not consider it a priority. Manganiello said that he wrote a human and grounded revenge backstory for the character, while preparing for the role in Justice League and Ben Affleck's The Batman. He had spent 6 months writing the script outline for the film that was pitched to the studio, with details including the character's time in the U.S. military, his connection to the League of Shadows, as well as the characters Talia al Ghul, William Wintergreen, his wife Adeline Kane, and their children. The story included the events that would lead to the character's role in Affleck's film where he exacts revenge on Batman, who he blames for the death of his son. Manganiello noted that a revival was possible. Shortly after the release of Snyder's cut of Justice League, a social media campaign was started as an attempt to persuade Warner Bros. To continue with the project. During JusticeCon in April, Manganiello stated that the first project featuring the character that he is hoping gets greenlit is an origin story reworked as a series and released exclusively on HBO Max. Green Lantern. Originally, the 2011 Green Lantern film was planned to be the first film in a shared DC cinematic universe, but its planned sequels were cancelled in September 2011 and the film was eventually left out of continuity due to its critical and financial disappointment. Despite this, Sinestro actor Mark Strong incorrectly referred to it as part of the DCEU in February 2019. The character is scheduled to be rebooted for the franchise continuity in Green Lantern Corps, which is currently in development. Later, Zack Snyder considered having Ryan Reynolds return to play an additional Lantern, to fill out the Corps in his 2021 director's cut of Justice League. The film would eventually be retroactively established to be set on the world of Earth-12 in the Arrowverse crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths. Harley Quinn vs. The Joker. In July 2017, a film featuring Harley Quinn and the Joker was announced to be in development with the working title of Harley Quinn vs. the Joker, scheduled to begin production after the Suicide Squad. Glenn Ficarra and John Requa were hired as CO writers, CO directors, and CO producers. In September 2018, Ficarra and Requa said that the script was completed and submitted to Warner Bros., and that production would commence after Birds of Prey. The story would have explored the toxic relationship of the characters, combining the tones of Ficarra and Requa's previous works Bad Santa and This Is Us. The film was cancelled by February 2019. Untitled Joker film. In June 2018, a film featuring the Joker entered development. Jared Leto would have served as an executive producer in addition to reprising his role as the Joker, as well as being involved with hiring the film's production crew. The film was intended to pave the way for all other Suicide Squad-related projects. By February 2019, the film had been cancelled, and a Joker film unrelated to the DCEU was released later that year. Justice League sequels. In October 2014, Justice League Part 2 was announced, with Snyder returning as director. Deborah Snyder later revealed that Justice League would not be one film split in two. The film was scheduled to be released on June 14, 2019, but production was pushed back to accommodate the Batman. Joss Whedon, the director of Justice League's reshoots, would eventually rework one of the film's post-credit scenes in order to tease the Injustice League as villains of a possible sequel. In October 2017, J.K. Simmons stated that work on the script was in progress, while in December, Variety reported that there were no immediate plans for Snyder to return as director. Before his departure from DC Films, Snyder originally intended for the sequel to focus on the League's battle against the Injustice League, which would have consisted of Lex Luthor, Dr. Poison, Captain Cold, the Riddler, Ocean Master and Black Manta. The conflict would have resulted in the deaths of Wonder Woman and Aquaman. The film would have ended with Darkseid invading Earth and killing a pregnant Lois Lane, which would have made Superman susceptible to the anti-life equation. By 2019, Warner Bros. Had prioritized stand-alone films over the project, although Patty Jenkins noted she would be open to directing the next Justice League film. Zack Snyder's Justice League was considered a storytelling cul-de-sac, with no sequels planned. Snyder said that he did not have any expectation that there would be more movies than this. If that happened, that would be amazing, but that bridge is far away. He later added that Warner Brothers had no appetite or interest to have him direct more films. In January 2021, Ray Fisher said that he would only be willing to reprise his role as Cyborg in a future DCEU film if a Justice League sequel were to be made by Snyder. The following month, Snyder said that he would return to direct the sequel if he was offered the chance. In March, storyboards created for Snyder's version of the sequel were displayed at the Dreamscapes of Zack Snyder's Justice League exhibit in Dallas. The storyboards confirmed the existence of a second sequel, tentatively titled Justice League 2A, which was planned to be released in 2020. 2A would have been set 5 years after the previous film and would have seen the League use time travel to reverse Darkseid's invasion. Batman would have sacrificed his life while defending Lois Lane from Darkseid in the past, eventually creating an alternate timeline where Darkseid's invasion never occurred. 20 years in the future, the son of Clark and Lois would have become the second Batman after Bruce. In August, producer Charles Roven confirmed the studio's continued interest in a Justice League sequel, but adding that it was still a number of years away. Krypton. In October 2014, the Man of Steel writer David S. Goyer was announced to developing a television series focused on the planet Krypton. During the development, Goyer revealed that the series would use unused concepts for the planet that were created for Man of Steel. In early marketing materials for the series and the first teaser that debuted at the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con, the Superman logo designed for the DCEU films was used to represent the House of L, implying that the series would have been a direct prequel to Man of Steel. During the casting process, the production crew sought an actor who resembled a young Henry Cavill to portray Seg-El, Superman's grandfather, while Goyer stated that the series was planned to take place 200 years prior to the events of Man of Steel. Ultimately, all connections to Man of Steel were dropped by the series' release in March 2018. Executive producer Cameron Welsh later described the series as adjacent to both the DCEU and the Arrowverse. New Gods. In March 2018, Ava DuVernay signed on to direct a film centered around the New Gods. Initially with a script written by Carrie O. Salem, Tom King was later brought to co-write the film with DuVernay. Darkseid was planned to be the main antagonist of the film, and the female Furies were set to appear. The fourth draft of the script was ongoing in 2020. In December, DuVernay said that the COVID-19 pandemic had given her and King time to dig into the mind and musings of Jack Kirby. King stated that he and DuVernay wanted to honor Kirby's genius and described working on the film as a joy. King said that DuVernay was focused on the emotional core of the characters and the complex relationships that Kirby wrote for them. New Gods was cancelled in April 2021, though Warner Brothers stated that it may be revived in the future. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the project faced difficulties due to Darkseid's role in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Warner Brothers wanted time to pass before the character appeared again. Later, DuVernay revealed that Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Granny Goodness, and High Father would have appeared in the film. Untitled Black Manta film. In February 2019, Warner Brothers announced a horror-themed spin-off from Aquaman focusing on the villainous Trench Kingdom. Peter Safran and James Wan were set to produce, with Noah Gardner and Aidan Fitzgerald writing the script. The film was planned to have a lower production budget than other DCEU films. The following month, Safran stated that he expected the film to be released before Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. In April 2021, the project was cancelled, though Warner Brothers said that it may be revived in the future. In October, Wan revealed that the initially announced name of the trench was a working title, to misdirect the audience that the movie was secretly a Black Manta film. The Sandman. In July 2013, Diane Nelson, who was serving as president of DC Entertainment, stated that the company had plans to adapt Neil Gaiman's Sandman comic books for a feature film. In December, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was signed onto the project as director, producer, and to star, alongside David S. Goyer, with the latter also writing the story pitch for the studio. By April 2014, the studio hired Jack Thorne to serve as screenwriter, from the original story by David S. Goyer which adapted Gaiman's source material. Gordon-Levitt was being courted to also star as the titular character, Morpheus/Dream of the Endless/Sandman. The project was later announced in August, as a part of DCEU continuity, along with other projects that were scheduled for production after Batman v Superman was completed. Gordon-Levitt, Goyer, Thorne, and Gaiman contributed to the script at the time. In June 2015, Sandman was moved to WB's subsidiary studio New Line Cinema, alongside other DC Vertigo content including Del Toro's Constantine and Justice League Dark projects. Tabloids wrote that the project might not be directly connected to other DCEU films. Gordon-Levitt described the project to be grand in visual scope, while also acknowledging that given the various side stories and the episodic nature of the comics, work on the script was a difficult process but continuing with reworking and a certain amount of invention, and in between, saying that there was tons of reappropriating, recontextualizing, combining, consolidating, and all manner of things that literalists might not like. Despite this, the filmmaker reassured that the script was closely following the source material with specifics straight from the comics. In March 2016, Eric Heiserer was hired by the studios to do a rewrite of the current script, while Gordon-Levitt officially left the project, citing creative differences. According to Levitt, the creatives involved could not collectively come to an agreement on how to realize the film adaptation, with Warner Bros. And New Line Cinema, but also acknowledged that he and Gaiman intended to collaborate in the future. Despite these differences, the filmmaker expressed well wishes for the creative team, while the studio looked for a replacement director. The following year in May, Gordon-Levitt further commented on the challenge as a filmmaker when adapting the episodic storytelling of the comics into a feature film, while confirming that development was ongoing. Stating that the adaptation will maintain the fantasy elements, he also said that the script will create a massive action film while portraying the character and his powers as accurate to the source material. The project entered development hell with various rewrites, officially being shelved when Goyer advised the studio to abandon a film adaptation. Goyer would later adapt the comic for the unrelated Netflix-exclusive television series Supergirl. In August 2018, a film centered on Kara Zor-El/Supergirl, was announced to be in development with Oren Uziel penning the script. Warner Bros. Was seeking a female director. In February 2021, Sasha Calle was officially cast in the role, with the character making a first appearance in The Flash. In August 2022, following the cancellation of Batgirl, it was reported that further development on Supergirl was no longer likely to continue. The Wonder Twins. In February 2022, a film centered around Zan and Jane/The Wonder Twins entered development for HBO Max. Adam Steichel was slated to make his directorial debut and write the screenplay, with Marty Bowen and Wick Godfrey serving as producers. By that April, KJ Apa and Isabel May were cast in the lead roles of Zan and Jaina, respectively. Principal photography was scheduled to commence in Atlanta, Georgia in July, but the project was cancelled in May following Warner Media's merge with Discovery Incorporated and the creation of Warner Bros. Discovery. The CEO of the newly formed conglomerate, David Zaslav, felt that the film's estimated $75 million plus budget would not bolster enough of a return as a straight-to-streaming release. Additionally, Zaslav has a directive mandate that DC films will first focus on theatrical releases, with internal criticism also stating that the project had been conceived in a style deemed too niche. Expanded setting. In October 2014, Jeff Johns explained that DC's approach to their films and television series would be different from Marvel Studios' cinematic universe, stating that their film universe and TV universes would be kept separate within a multiverse to allow everyone to make the best possible product, to tell the best story, to do the best world. This divide lasted until January 2020, when the DCEU was retroactively established to have connections to the CW's Arrowverse continuity via an expansion of the multiverse concept, during Part 4 of the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. Ezra Miller reprised their role as Barry Allen in a cameo appearance alongside Grant Gustin's version of the same character. During their conversation, Miller's Barry Allen gets the idea to call himself the Flash from his alternate self and mentions Victor. Despite their cameo, the episode did not confirm the designated Earth for the DCEU characters. Miller's cameo opened up more possibilities for crossovers between DC films and the Arrowverse. President of DC Films, Walter Hamada, revealed that prior to Crisis on Infinite Earths, DC had been structured in a way that the television division had to clear the use of characters with the film division. Now, the company could really lean into this idea of and acknowledge the fact there can be a Flash on TV and one in the movies, and you don't have to pick one or the other, and they both exist in this multiverse. Arrowverse creator and executive producer Greg Berlanti agreed, feeling that moving forward, there's more opportunity to do more things like this, and was open to more film characters appearing in the Arrowverse. In August 2020, Hamada announced plans to develop a multiverse inspired by the comics. In doing so, the studio also stated that all past, present, and future projects are a part of the same unified multiverse. Andy Muschietti, director of The Flash, further explained that all previous adaptations of DC Comics are a part of the multiverse, all the cinematic iterations that we've seen before are valid, all that you've seen exists, and everything that you will see exists, in the same unified multiverse. Timeline. In the DCEU, the events of the films rarely explicitly make their exact years known. Man of Steel takes place after the events of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984, which are set in 1918 and 1984, respectively. Wonder Woman also has bookend scenes set in the present after the events of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. The events of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice occur 18 months after the events of Man of Steel, which follows the consequences and the emergence of aliens and meta-humans such as Superman. The film concludes with the death of Superman, which is emphasized in the following ensemble films, Suicide Squad and Justice League, taking place approximately 1 and 2 years later, respectively. Jason Momoa confirmed that Aquaman takes place right after Zack Snyder's Justice League. Aquaman is followed by Shazam, which occurs during the Christmas season of 2018. Afterwards, the events of Birds of Prey are set in 2020, followed by the Suicide Squad, confirmed to take place in 2021. Peacemaker is set 5 months after the events of the Suicide Squad, with Black Adam taking place after Peacemaker. Recurring cast and characters. Additional crew and production details. Reception. Box office performance. Critical and public response. Accolades. The franchise has won an Academy Award, nominated for 2 Annie Awards, 7 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, 10 Critics' Choice Super Awards, 12 Golden Raspberry, 5 Grammy Awards, 2 Hugo Awards, 3 Golden Reel Awards, 14 MTV Movie and TV Awards, 1 Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Award, 29 Saturn Awards, and 7 Visual Effects Society Awards, among others. Music. Soundtracks. Singles. Other media. Novels. Comics. Video games.